I'm Jordan.
This is Unedited.
Snow to the head. Snow to the head. Well, now that I've been smacked with a bunch of snow in the back of my head, welcome to Unedited. It's good to have you here with us. Let me say to you, happy 2022 and New Year and all that fun stuff.
Happy New Year.
Appreciate you all. Hope you all are doing well. Hope you all had a good Christmas time, good New Year's, and it's good to be back with you, isn't it?
I'm glad to be back. How are you feeling about the tree being gone?
You know what? I miss the tree. I'm one of these people who could, like, if it was up to me, the tree would stay up till like the end of January, right?
Maybe we need to find some kind of lit something for in the studio.
Yeah, some sort of winter tree or something with just white lights. I was in here last week doing something just on the mix over here, and I totally turned the tree on. And, hung out in here by myself with the tree on. It was fantastic. So
that's awesome. So how was your Christmas? How was your New Year's? Do you have like a highlight or?
Yeah, no, it was the whole thing was good. I found my parents were able to visit. Nick's parents were able to visit. Had a good dinner together, watched the girls open presents. It's always a highlight for me, I think, because just seeing how excited they are at this age.
It's so fun.
It's a blast, right? Like you just kind of live that fun moment through them. And then when I open up a record, I'm happy as well. So I'm not going to lie about that. And I got a couple, actually. I got a Jason Isbell, like a Record Store Day record that came in. One of my favorite bands in National. I got something by them. And another band, My Morning Jacket. So...
Awesome.
Yeah, I was spoiled a little bit, and I got some books, and yeah, it was good. So, but no, it was really good. It was cold.
So cold.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't do anything for the whole week. And so many people are off that week, right? So it's like you don't see everybody out in the streets having fun, going skating.
Yeah.
You're just home, playing with your toys, listening to your records.
And I have to commend you on your takeover a couple weeks ago, because you went out and about on that cold day, right? Like I was like sitting at home, like, doing things from my living room, sitting in my hot tub. That was the only time I was going outside throughout the day. So, but no, it was a good Christmas and New Year's. Yourself?
Good, really, really good. We were with all of our family. Most of my family is here, unless they're really far away. So it was great. As gifts go, I think my favorite one was my mom took our advice with the whole experience thing.
Nice.
And she got us like a staycation.
Oh, cool.
So like an overnight at Sheraton Cavalier and a gift certificate for dinner, a whole basket full of snacks for like movies in the evening. Awesome. And so, I don't know, I just really liked that because I didn't need more things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then New Year's, we had people over, like just my family again, and we played board games, and the kids made it till midnight, me barely, but I did make it to midnight, rang in the New Year, and that was about it. Oh, and we got a new puppy.
Oh, cool.
So that's been the highlight around the house, right? So Presley,
I like it.
as
Perfect.
in the king of rock and roll.
Goes with our Christmas albums that we were showing
Yes,
a little
yes,
while
it does.
ago.
Yeah.
So, no, well, welcome so much. We're so glad to have you here today. And why don't we check out some of the things that happened in the news over 2021? So for this segment, originally we were going to talk about just kind of a recap of stories that happened throughout 2021. And as we did that, I think we felt everything just a little too dark and sad. Yeah, like we didn't want to talk about, COVID this whole time and different things being shut down and whatnot. So we decided just to go in a different direction. And we're going to talk about 5 stories that went viral in Canada in 2021. And look at those and just talk those through for a few minutes. And maybe you know about some of these. Maybe you want to weigh in on some of this stuff in the comments, or we'd love to hear your opinion on this. But the first one we'll start with is the 4-day work week. Now,
great.
How does that sound to you, right?
So great. When I first heard it, I heard it on the radio, actually, not on social media.
Okay.
And I had caught the end of it. And I was like, does this mean we get 4-day work weeks? Like, I was all excited in the car, and then I listened to the whole story, and I realized it was Iceland.
Yeah, you realize that wasn't in Canada per se, right?
Yeah.
But maybe it should be. Well, we could talk about this. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. But an organization in Iceland this past year went viral and really just famous in our country and everywhere, really, for developing a 4-day work week and giving people 3 days off throughout the week. And apparently what they noticed when that happened was a lot of people would think, well, that's not enough time to get everything done. Production's going to go down. Things are going to start to lag. But actually it was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
The results were actually the opposite. Production went up, productivity went up, and probably more important, stress was down.
That's so good.
They said mental health was better, right? They noticed all sorts of benefits from this 4-day work week, and it was a pretty successful experiment in Iceland. And I don't know, it's kind of a neat thought and concept. What do you guys think about that? 4-day work week. That's something you're yay or nay about? We're not going to share our opinions, but you know what we're thinking, right?
I'm totally yay. I'm just letting it go.
So yeah, 4-day work week. Let us know what you think. Very cool story. Very neat experiment that they tried.
Yes, and then one that's a little less of a story and more humor and photos, but Bernie Sanders. As soon as you say that name, everyone knows what I'm going to say. But this Bernie Sanders memes that were going around everywhere.
It was out of control?
Like he was on your Instagram. You could put him on as a sticker. You could do absolutely everything. We did that here around this place. We had Bernie sitting with us, and
yeah, it was neat how far it went, right? Like that he'd show up on SportsCenter, he'd show up on Entertainment Tonight. It was something
grumpy,
serious, and there'd be church services on TV, and they'd have a little Bernie meme in the corner, right? So
even Justin Trudeau, he
that's
had
right.
a little meme of him at his press conference.
Yeah, he joked about it's one thing for my son to crash my conference, but not him, right?
No, it's awesome. It was really funny, and he looked kind of grumpy with his little mitts just sitting there, and it's become a whole thing. I think the phase is now over.
I think so.
But it was there, and it was fun while it lasted, anyways.
Yeah,
so,
someone profited off that, guaranteed, right? There were all sorts of kits and stuff that you could buy at that time.
Oh, crochet kits and make his mittens and do all that kind of stuff. It was crazy. So, but it was fun.
Yeah, definitely a fun story. Third thing that's been going around a lot has been talk about UFOs. I don't know if you're someone who thinks about that at all, unidentified flying objects.
I was just going to say that.
And perhaps that's something you thought about as a kid. I know for me, when I was a kid, there was this movie out called Fire in the Sky. And it was a true story about an abduction with UFO, and it was guys took polygraph tests. They all passed them. Apparently, they were telling the truth, and it kind of spooked me out as a kid, to be honest with you. Of course, I watched it over and over and over again because that's what teenagers do, right? Young kids do, because we just scare ourselves and we can't sleep at night. But no, UFOs. Apparently, there's been sightings again of little things in the sky. I've never really seen anything like that before. I think I've maybe seen one of those weather balloons that lights up the sky funny, and maybe wondered what's going on up there, right? Or the Northern Lights. I'm from the north, so that can make a little bit of a tinge in the sky sometimes. But UFOs came back in. People are talking about them. Maybe we're just a little bit more bored with the pandemics and staying home a lot.
Whenever I think of UFOs, I didn't watch a lot of movies like that, but X-Files was always a really big thing. Didn't that all have to do with UFOs?
Yeah, it's probably something on there. Unsolved Mysteries would show these things.
Oh, yeah, those kind of things.
If you watch one episode of that, you might not sleep for the week, so don't do it, especially the old version, right?
I tried when I was a kid to find all these things, though, and get creeped out by things, and it just never worked. It never happened. I didn't see them. I couldn't. Anyways. And then a more local story, well, if you're listening and you're tuning in from Saskatoon or Saskatchewan, is one that went viral was a moose that showed up, didn't just show up, broke through the glass of a classroom here in Saskatoon. That is crazy. I feel like it's a joke that's always been made about our country, and it just came to be.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? It just was a meme that someone made up, but it was an actual real story. And the kids were okay, so that was good. We actually know one of the ladies that was in the classroom, and it was extremely scary, but everybody was safe and sound.
Yeah, it's crazy how this reached everywhere too, right? I thought this was just a localized Saskatchewan story, but then I realized Canada was talking about it, but then apparently it was featured in the New York Times. And, you could see all sorts of publications taking this up, really just making lighthearted fun about, I guess,
which is good, but then
Canada gets joked about sometimes. Right?
But it's kind of bad because they picture that we're on sleds and have chains on our tires and wild animals in the streets, and so it kind of gives them now the right to say those things. Now that you have it, and that's a busy residential street. He didn't just come off of a highway.
I know.
He was crossing the road at the walk, and
I know. Came
it's
through
crazy.
the glass. I can't even imagine what the kids would have felt. Just seeing that kind of happen. Thankfully, no one was hurt. Nobody was injured, and the animal I think was released back in the wild.
Yes.
Probably
safely.
Probably a hunter or two were wondering what location he was released in at that time. time, but we won't get into that today.
Yeah, we have one of those friends.
Yeah, no, that was a fun story, and not fun so much, but just maybe more ironic, and the fact that nobody was hurt probably makes it a little bit more fun and kind of giggly because of that, right?
Totally, especially a moose.
Yeah.
When my family comes overseas from Wales, they all buy souvenirs with moose.
Yeah.
Like the keychains, the stuffed animals, like it's everywhere. And one was in the classroom. Anyways.
Speaking of animals, though, this is the last one. And this story was one that kind of creeped me out. It happened back in July and it went viral. And there was a guy who was doing a mining project up in Alaska. And he got stuck in like this little cabin where a grizzly bear was literally like haunting him, right? He got attacked by the bear. At one point, they said he got dragged into the river by him. But every night, this bear would come and circle around his cabin, and he put like a help sign on top of it, and apparently like a helicopter that was just randomly flying by
could see the sign.
Could see the sign, yeah. And they rescued him, and so great ending, awesome. But I can't even imagine what he experienced as he went through that, right? And that was one of those ones that kind of went viral and just, I don't know, put a shiver when you heard about it, right? So,
have you ever seen a bear? Like,
yeah, and bears are like my favorite animal that I don't want to get close to, right? Like, I
they're
like them,
beautiful.
they're cute, but I don't want to be near one. And in Thompson, when we were growing up on the golf course, they'd show up all the time, but they were just like black bears, right?
Yeah.
And so normally, like, I remember being at the tee box and maybe like, 20 feet in front of me, he just walked across and kept going, and thank you, Lord, right? And that's kind of what I was thinking at the time. But a grizzly, I think that's just a whole other level, right?
Yeah, Waskasoo, there were always sightings of bears all the time. Every time we camped there as kids, there would be warnings about bears.
Yeah.
And some people would even go out to the trash areas to purposely see the bears, right? But yeah, same thing. I love them. They're beautiful creatures, but I don't want to be anywhere close.
Not at all. No.
To a bear, but
not whatsoever. Yeah. But yeah, those were some of the stories that went viral this year. Maybe we missed something big. If we did, let us know in the comments and let us know what kind of stood out to you this past year. But that was some of 2021 wrapped up for you.
Hey, Unedited. It's nice to be back and online again. We started this year with checking out coffee because Jordan and myself, we both like coffee and tea and all those types of things. So we thought we would try 5 local coffee shops. So today we're in Warman and we are at Refuge, which is a beautiful place. I encourage you to check it out. The desserts looked amazing. We didn't try them, but they looked fabulous.
Might come back, we'll see.
Yeah. So we decided to do what? What kind of coffee are we having at each place?
Just kind of what their special was, what they had on basically drip at the time. This is Costa Rica, I think you said?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we both tried it. We're not going to tell you which one we liked the best until the very end, but it's really good.
Tasty. Yeah,
really good.
nice.
Not too, it's like probably a medium roast, I'm thinking.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, now we're at our second shop here. We're at Sparrow Coffee, which is actually a sister coffee shop to City Perk, which many of you might know in Saskatoon. And we're trying their drip blend here. And take a sip.
Oh, she's hot.
It's nice, yeah.
Oh, it's different.
We'll talk about this more later, but yeah, having fun, drinking coffee. And we're here on Broadway, Saskatoon at Museo Coffee Roasters. We're trying a Honduras blend, I think this was.
Yes.
It's beautiful outside. We're sitting outside, so
on coffee bags.
Exactly. So in January, this is the life, I'm telling you, in Saskatoon. So cheers.
Cheers.
And let's give this one a try. I like it. It's nice. Looking forward to trying more of this.
Well, we are now downtown, just off 19th Street at HomeQuarter Coffee and Bakery. Such a beautiful place, beautiful location. I highly recommend checking it out. Lots of tasty treats. So we're trying their drip coffee as well. This was called Midnight Express, a dark roast Colombian coffee. So are you ready to try it out?
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers.
Nice. I'm gonna have to drink this one a bit more. All right, we're at Prism Coffee here on 20th Street. Got ourselves a nice Christmas blend, I think is what you said it was, right?
Yep, little sister.
Little sister, yeah. So we're gonna give this a shot. Really cool setup, new renovations. Check it out when you're in the city.
Are we gonna
we
cheers?
should cheers, yeah, sorry.
Cheers.
Getting ahead here, cheers. I look forward to trying more of this. Join the journey. Join our journey? Looking forward to trying more of this. I'm gonna have to drink this one a bit more. I look forward to trying more of this. Having fun? Drinking coffee? Good morning to you.
I was gonna say something and then I was like, I just was controlling myself. Are you getting shaky yet? My mask.
Are you ready yet?
No. Okay. Well, that was fun.
It was.
Hey, did you feel a little jittery after all that coffee?
Always, all the time. I'm more of a tea drinker, so the coffee hit me a little extra today. Let's just say that.
Yeah, we chose 5 by just choosing, because there's many local coffee shops around. So we just narrowed it down to 5. I'm not sure why you pick 5 all the time, but it's 5.
I like my top 5s. I realize that. I have a thing going there, don't I?
So we went to 5 different places, which you kind of saw briefly in the video. I'm going to tell you my favorite one.
Okay.
And then you're going to have to share your favorite one.
Yeah.
But they're all good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Disclaimer.
Yeah, so good.
Right?
And we're going to talk about each of them.
So my favorite one was Refuge in Warman.
Nice.
It was a cute little shop in Warman, so it's about 20 minutes outside of Saskatoon, if you're not too sure. Really nice guy named Daryl working there.
That's right.
A lot of people know who he is. He has worked at other coffee shops in the city, and he is amazing. He very professional. Great guy.
I agree. Yeah.
And the coffee, I instantly liked it. Like it didn't need to grow on me. Like it was really good.
It was tasty.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 100%. No, and you're right. And apparently they're kind of like switching up their vibe there and stuff. And I think he just came on, so it'd be neat to see what happens in that coffee shop.
Yeah.
Cool place. For me, probably my favorite, and I liked a lot. They were all good, like Yasmin said. And but Prism was one that stood out to me. This was like a Christmas blend, wasn't it?
Yes.
I think it's what it was.
Little
and
Sisters?
I don't know, yeah, something about it just had like, I don't know, there was different notes in it. It was tasty. This is the place where I got smashed with snow before we went to as well. So the employees really took up for me there. So maybe that's why I liked it so much. They were on my side. They saw it all go down here, right?
How can we help you?
Yeah, exactly. They were looking out for me there. So thanks, Prism. But no, this was excellent. I thought it was tasty, very good. I drink mine with cream and sugar. You take yours black, right? So, but no, great coffee. Recommend
That's
it.
the
Check it
tricky
out.
thing about drinking it with black, right? Is that you burn your tongue almost every time. So I was
That's true.
telling Ashley in the car, like once you get to the 3rd or 4th cup and you have like burnt your tongue, sometimes you can't tell, right?
Yeah, no,
Not
it's true.
at first, right? It has to cool off. So, and then we went to Sparrow, which is a sister coffee shop to City Perks, which I've mentioned on the show before. I love City Perks. I just love the vibe there. I've gone there a long time. This was great. It was beautiful in there. A beautiful mural that was done by a tattoo artist, a local tattoo artist in the city. Just absolutely beautiful with sparrows on it, or sparrows, whatever you want to make fun of me saying.
Yeah.
But the difference between the two shops, which she had told us, where they're focusing more on food. So yes, they both have food, but they have lots of lunch and meal items versus just bakery and stuff.
The menu looked amazing too.
Real and healthy and all locally made there, and so really good. So I highly recommend checking it out.
Yeah, eco-friendly cups too. For those of you who like eco-friendly, Sparrow, you're gonna appreciate that. So next we went to Museo. We went on Broadway, local coffee shop. This little cup here. It was interesting how he did it because he did a pour over for us, right?
Yeah.
And it was neat just seeing the care, kind of how he went about it and put into it, and it was tasty. The blend he gave us was very citrusy. And no, I thought it was really good, cool vibe. The neat thing about there was he actually had outdoor seating going.
Yes, and heated padded seats you could take outside to your spot.
There was actually heated pads on the inside that you could take outside. I think we just ended up sitting on like coffee bags or something, right? But super cool coffee shop.
Great guy.
Yeah, good conversation with him. Nice dude. Check out Museo. I think you're gonna like it.
And then our very last one that we wrapped up downtown on 19th there was HomeQuarter Coffee House and Bakery.
Yep.
Nice long name for you.
That's right.
HomeQuarter, I'm sure everybody calls it.
Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful place.
Stunning location.
What a great vibe when you go in there. And there's like that upstairs that you can sit and have coffee and look down by the river area. It's beautiful. Right by the farmer's market, which is cool too.
I definitely liked it. That whole area, I find it just, I don't know, there's just something about it. It's kind of tucked away in between those apartment buildings and stuff. I don't know, it feels kind of cityish down there. I definitely enjoyed it. Good coffee, very nice people working there. what you mentioned, I think, is definitely just a cool vibe in there, right? And so, place
Lots
to go
of
work,
bakery treats.
hang out, yeah.
It's a nice place to hang out.
Butter tarts.
Butter tarts, nice big ones.
Had to mention that.
We controlled ourselves though. We've had too many butter tarts
over the holiday season.
So we've had to simmer there. But yeah, so in the comments, we would love to hear what your favorite coffee shop is. Maybe it's none of these
What did we miss?
that we've listed, but we're talking local coffee shops today. So let us know some places that we should check out. We would love to go and do that.
Well, now we're going to get into the talk of this episode, and we're going to be starting, I had so much fun with our Christmas talks.
It was so fun.
And talking through Advent, I find, is always just, I don't know, it's refreshing for the season, right?
For sure.
And so we're going to start something new for 2022. I just about said the wrong date. And we're going to talk about a series that we're just going to give the title, I think, because of the times. And I think what we're going to look at in the scriptures is going to be very, I think, applicable to what we see happening around us in our world right now. And so we're talking through a book that's found in the Old Testament. That's the first half of the Bible. And this book is called Jonah. And it's the book of a prophet named Jonah. Jonah was a prophet whom God would give a message to from time to time, and he would speak it to the people. And so we're going to look at this today. And so in Jonah chapter 1, I'm just going to get right into it here. And,
and lots of people, if you don't know Jonah, you might have heard of Jonah and the whale.
Yes,
or
that's right.
Jonah and the large fish. It is a story that's out there in the world.
It's so true. And even like VeggieTales, right? Like some people might have saw that episode, and maybe you get hung up on the idea of him getting swallowed by a whale, which Pastor Yasmin's going to scientifically explain to you one of these days in a future episode. I'm holding her to it, but
it's not the only focus of the book, right? So that's why we need to talk about it. But just in case you're kind of wondering if it's the same person, it is. Yeah. It is the same person we're talking about. So
absolutely. So this first part says Jonah flees from the Lord, and so we're going to explain kind of what's happening here. But let's read 3 verses here. Verse 1 says, "The word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai." That's not a name that you hear a ton anymore, right? So go to the great city of Nineveh and preach against it, because its wickedness has come up before me. And so God's given them this message: go speak to this city, go give them my message to them. There's things that need to change here.
Yep.
And the next verse says, "But Jonah ran away from the Lord and headed for Tarshish. He went down to Joppa, where he found a ship bound for that port. And after paying the fare, he went aboard and sailed for Tarshish to flee from the Lord." And so God tells him in this story, go give my message to these people in Nineveh. And he's like, I'm peacing out. I'm headed to Tarshish, right? I'm going the exact opposite way.
And God's speaking to him.
Yeah. And so he's running away from God, and which raises all sorts of questions. Apparently for Jonah, he thinks there's some way that he could run away from God. And he knows God's God, omnipresent, all-knowing.
Yeah.
And yet he still thinks somehow he could flee from
I think we all do sometimes.
This mission. I think so. Yeah. I think we have this part of us that thinks that sometimes we can hide things, and yet God sees everything.
Yeah.
And so what's happening here is God's given this message to Jonah, this prophet. He's supposed to take it to the people. He's supposed to give it to the people for their benefit, so that they can change and so that they can turn from their ways. And there's these 2 places mentioned here, and this is worth mentioning. I think this is worth talking about for a second: Tarshish and Nineveh. Okay, I might not even pronounce the first one right, so you're gonna have to have grace on me for that. Okay,
Nineveh's right for sure.
but like Nineveh was this place that Jonah didn't like. He wanted nothing to do with them. They were enemies of his people. They'd hurt his people. He would look at it and think to himself, you know what? I'm gonna stay away from there. I'm not gonna go there, right? And Tarshish, on the other hand, was like this ideal place to him. It was like, if you look back in it in history, it was like vacation. It was like Hawaii. It was like, you know what I mean? Like, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to this, this city an hour away from you, or do you want to go to Hawaii and spend an all expense paid vacation in a pretty sunny kind of place? And so Jonah chose to go there. He chose, I want nothing to do with this mission. I'm headed off to Tarshish. I'm going to put my feet up. I'm going to enjoy things over there. And I think that raises a question sometimes, that I think sometimes we have to ask ourselves the question, where do we most expect to find God? What places do we expect to find him? Is it the places where everything's going well and people are enjoying themselves and there's such peace in the air? Or is it the Ninevehs of the world? Is it the the dark alleys of the soul? Is it the dark places where we find that the light shines the greatest?
Yeah.
And, perhaps sometimes we think that God's presence is in all these peaceful, vacation-y, sunny places, but
Not
perhaps,
in the crazy chaos places.
yeah, perhaps it's the darkness where the light's shining the greatest, and where the light needs to shine the greatest.
Or you don't want to go just because you don't like the people.
Yeah, and
that's a very, very real thing in life.
And that's what we find happening here with Jonah. I'm not even convinced it's so much that he's running from God, that he's running from this mission to help these people, because he's thinking to himself, these people don't deserve God's message.
They're too bad. They're too evil. Yeah.
Don't deserve his grace. Don't deserve any of that, right?
And that is not true.
And yet God still has a heart for them. God still cares for them. God still desperately wants to reach them. And he says, Jonah, take my word to them. And he's like, I'm staying away from that group. I'm headed out way over here. And so in his mind, there was this place where he could run from God, where he could flee from God's presence. And we're going to find out as we continue to read in the story that that's not going to be how his narrative plays out. and how
things will go different.
And how this, finishes for him. But there's this idea, I think, in this story about are we okay with the lengths to which God's grace can reach? And that's deep, right?
It's very deep, because there's often times that we think that certain people deserve grace and certain people don't. Like they're just too far gone.
Yeah.
And that's not true.
Yeah.
Like it's not how God sees us, how he sees his people, right?
Absolutely. Like when you think about Jesus and even the people he chose to follow him, like he brought across a group of people who wouldn't have liked each other very much.
No.
They would have been on opposite sides politically or like in their beliefs and their practices. So,
100%.
And they would have been so much potential to clash, and yet he loved them all, and he loved them the same. He didn't love one more than the other. And I think that's tough for us as humans. I think it's easy for us to have our favorites and to have our good people and the people who we think God wants to reach out to. But the truth of the matter, and this book is going to show us that's everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not one people group,
and we're
that's
all
people.
guilty of it, maybe not in that extreme, but like when you're given a choice to go somewhere, say it's even just out for the evening, I'm going to go with people who accept me and love me and make me feel good versus people who make me feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But sometimes maybe that's not the right choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right?
Yeah. And I guess, and when I read through this narrative, it brings a couple things to mind. I guess we'll start with just the basic, like has God ever told you to do something? And you just kind of, no, I'm out, I'm taking off this way, right? And maybe that's you, maybe that's where you found yourself. Maybe God's asked you to reach out to a specific person or to specific people, and you just need to follow through in obedience on that. And this could be a helpful book in that. But I guess the question I ask myself is, are we intentional to befriend or spend time with people who are different than us? Is that something that's important to us? Is that something that we think is important? And are we okay with that? And so I'm excited to look through this book.
Me too.
I'm excited for this series. I think because the times works, because it's a book that's so relatable, it's so applicable to what we see going on around us today. And so God sends this message to Jonah, says, take it to these people. He wants nothing to do with it. He heads off to what he thinks is a sunnier, more God-friendly environment. And yet he's about to find out that the very people that maybe he's not so crazy about, or maybe he despises in this moment, God's actually deeply in love with them too, just as much as he loves them. And
I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this and to see it continue, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, definitely. I'm looking forward to this journey. One thing I would encourage you to do is if you have a copy of the scriptures, and if you don't, reach out to us. We'd love to send you one.
And there's apps on your phone, right? I always forget to tell people that there's a free app on your phone. You can just carry it with you all the time and not take a paper copy.
100%.
Right?
But read through the book of Jonah. Come with us on this journey. And I think we're going to learn a lot, not only about the heart of God, which we want to learn a lot about, but we're going to learn a lot about how we as people sometimes,
our hearts.
how our hearts sometimes need some fresh work from God as well.
Yeah.
So Jonah is the series, and we're looking forward to this journey.
Now what? So we just talked about only 3 short little verses.
Yeah.
But what do we want everybody here to think about this week until we continue?
Yeah, something that we could just give with you to take home and to kind of mull over and really, honestly, just bring to your heart. And is this idea, and I think we touched on it in one of the themes early on in the book of Jonah, is are we intentional sometimes to befriend or spend time with people who think differently than you do, or maybe who are differently than you do. Maybe are from a completely different culture, a completely different part of the world, and they see things differently. And I think sometimes we have this tendency to avoid those kind of relationships and interactions because they might be a little bit more difficult, maybe inconvenient. They might sometimes annoy us, especially if they have radically different views than we do.
And if they verbalize them.
Yeah. But there's something so healthy, I think, about those relationships. And perhaps I think in those moments where we avoid those, certain people and certain conversations that make us uneasy, perhaps that's God's invitation to us sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
To open our eyes to new things and to new ways of seeing the world. And really new ways of how he loves people and how he wants to love people in the world around us, right?
Yeah.
And so one thing I can encourage you with now, is that you just, this week, perhaps that conversation in the workplace that you run away from all the time, you see someone going this way and you're headed the exact opposite way. Maybe stick around and have a chat. Yeah. Maybe have that discussion with somebody who's been reaching out to you that you've been avoiding. Perhaps it's just being intentional about making relationships with people who think different than you. In the midst of that, it's amazing how you could see God at work and how he could be at work in your life, even in those moments.
Yeah, that's awesome. So we're going to take a second here. If you have any questions, of course, like always, please contact us. You can put it in the comments. You can send us an email. You can private message us, whatever you want to do. Please feel free to do that. Questions about anything that you've seen here today. We always welcome those. So as we leave today, I'm just going to pray for everybody who's tuning in, and then we'll call it a wrap.
Absolutely.
Our first one of 2022.
Yeah.
That's
great.
So let's pray. So Lord, I just thank you so much that we are back. We're back here in this studio for another year of Unedited. So Lord, I just thank you for all the viewers that are tuning in, who are listening to your word, Father. And Lord, as we're challenged today with our hearts and with the people that we interact with, I just ask that you would soften these hearts, Father. Those ones that are really hard to love and really hard to talk to, Father. Just put a new understanding, give them some wisdom and strength just to walk through those relationships, Father, so that we can be closer to one another, that we can be together. So Lord, I thank you for your word. I thank you for Jordan. I thank you for Ashley. I thank you for everybody who's watching Unedited. And I just pray this all in your name. Amen.
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 Awesome.
Okay, so 2022.
Yeah, we're about to
clink, clink.
Send you off, but yeah, this is how we do it.
We gotta do it.
So, cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on Unedited, and we'll see you next week. Cut that out. Just joking. Okay, anyways.
In the news.
Yeah, back on track. Let's go. Sparrow. So I'll say. I thought you called it Sparrow.